It was a game of what-ifs at Ibrox yesterday as Aberdeen lost narrowly 1-0 against Rangers. It's our first defeat in 8 games, but that only tells half the story. After the Premiership weekend, this is what it means to the top half of the table. So we remain on 53 points, but more importantly, after Celtic clinched the title at Tynecastle, it means that we remain 5 points clear of Hearts. Next up for us, it's Hibs on Saturday, and then we go to Tynecastle a week on Wednesday. Third place is still very much in our hands. Good evening, everybody. A very warm welcome to Ali Beg ABTV this Monday night. How are you doing after yesterday's defeat? So this is the review show. In simple terms, this is where I open the floor to you, the fans, to have your say on yesterday's defeat at Ibrox. So what I'm going to do tonight is read out most of your comments. The only thing that I would say, because I can quite clearly see from the reaction on social media and after I posted the link to tonight's show, that emotions are still running high. People are still very angry and people are still very frustrated at a certain decision or decisions that were made in the game. So if you come on, please be very careful what you write. Just to protect yourself and obviously to protect the channel as well. But I will do my best to read out most of your comments this evening. We're an open book tonight, so there's absolutely no time restriction whatsoever on tonight's show. We will just literally go as we see fit. Coming up a little bit later, I caught up with huge Aberdeen fan Terry McDermott, all the way from New Orleans. If you're not aware of Terry, Terry is the lead singer of a hugely popular band called Lotus Crush. And a few years ago, he came third in the US version of The Voice. He's got a few choice words to say about one or two officials from yesterday's game. So Terry will be with us very shortly. But as I said, we will be opening the floor to you. If you enjoyed tonight's show, please press the old like button. Just helps me massively. And also, the subscription level is building on a daily basis. And if you enjoyed tonight's show and enjoy what we do, please feel free to click on that old subscribe button. It doesn't cost you anything. It just means you're supporting me as we go along. So that's where we are. So, first and foremost, let's just remind ourselves of the starting 11 that Barry picked. He was forced into one change because Ross McCrory unfortunately failed a fitness test and was unable to take his place in the side. So he was replaced by Hayden Coulson, who came in and played on the right-hand side of a 3. Just in front of the 3, more as a right wing back. Johnny Hayes captained the side yesterday. So that was the side. So after the game, Barry, obviously, you could sense his frustration, not just the press conference, but also when he spoke to Rob McLean on Red TV, when they talked about the penalty incident with Duke and Connor Goldson. And this is what he had to say after the game. So I don't know where we are with VAR. I am actually really confused. I have watched it back and I don't even get how they haven't watched it back. I don't know. Did they check it? Did they not check it? I do not know. I have no clue. I was watching it going, that to me looks like a free kick. Then it carries on into the box and to me it looks like a penalty and nothing is said. No one says anything and that is it. What is the point in having VAR? So I'm going to have my tuppence on this. I cannot believe it wasn't a penalty. And apart from obviously the blue side of Glasgow, who are all saying it wasn't a penalty, and some who quite incredibly are saying Duke fouled Goldson. Oh, good Lord above. Michael Stewart's tweet I thought was quite telling. It's just astonishing. And as I've said on the channel before, and I'm starting to sound like a broken record, I just don't know what to say anymore. It's becoming quite comical. But more worryingly, it's becoming so concerning. So let's play a bit of skullduggery, okay? from what I understand and from what I've read, no penalty at Ibrox to any opposing side for 4 years. 4 years. No penalty given against Rangers at all this season. And if I read it correctly this morning, the last time any club got a penalty against Rangers was 52 games ago. 52. Now, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm not. So it's just a bit of skullduggery as far as I'm concerned. But what in the name of hell is going on with our officials again? The referee's got a clear view of the incident. I just don't know what's going through his mind. And if Barry is correct in presuming that VAR did not even look at it, then again, what is going on? Because if that happened in any other area of the pitch, it's a foul, right? It's a foul. If Duke had done it to Goldson, it would be a foul to Rangers, right? I just don't know what to say anymore. And unfortunately, I just think it's killing our game. And it happens every single week. There's a decision that happens every single week that we all just sit here and scratch our heads. And I wish I had the answers, and I don't know what the answers are, and it's hugely frustrating. But at the end of the day, in terms of the performance, we shouldn't have to rely on getting a penalty. Unfortunately, Duke didn't take his chances. On another day, if he did, we win that game quite comfortably. I thought we did okay, actually. I thought we did just fine. Can't take nothing away from their goal. It was a good goal. But yeah, on another day, I think we come away with a comfortable victory. It just wasn't meant to be. I thought we defended superbly. Again, thought we looked solid. Wasn't overly concerned. There was a couple of chances, but in general, I wasn't really that concerned. So I don't think we should have to rely on getting a penalty, if you understand what I mean, yeah, in the grand scheme of things. So it just sets it up now massively for Saturday. Still very much in our hands, still very confident. For me, it's just a wee blip, but it's a very frustrating blip. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get Terry McDermott on. So Terry and I spoke for about 10 minutes, and then I will open it to the floor for you to have your say. So let's get Terry on, all the way from New Orleans. How are we doing? Are you all right?
Good mate, how are you doing?
I am absolutely fine, absolutely fine. Still a little bit frustrated about yesterday. I think the word frustration has taken over from the word anger.
Mm,
Um,
yeah.
Obviously, let's talk about it because it was the big talking point of the game. Um, as I said at the intro to the top of my show, mate, I just don't know what to say anymore. And it's starting to sound like a broken record. It's like, I just don't know. I just don't know, mate.
Yeah.
What did you think of the incident?
It's it seems crazy to have to say it out loud, but I mean, it's a penalty, right? I mean, that's a penalty under any interpretation of the current wording of the law. That he makes no attempt to play the ball. He grapples the player. The challenge begins outside the box, and under the current rules, it begins outside the box and it ends. And you could argue that the foul is in progress right up until the point that Goldson, effectively throws him to the ground. So that's a penalty, and fine. Let's just say for a minute that the referee in question is not often accused of having certain Rangers tendencies. Let's just say that for a second. But then if he's unsighted, which photograph clearly shows he was not unsighted, he had a perfect view of it. But if he's unsighted, did we not just introduce a video assistant referee for this exact reason? That it's meant to clarify. It's not meant to be a circus, VAR. It is meant to simply clarify what the referee cannot see, despite the fact he can see it. So if that's the case, what is VAR doing? Why is the VAR operator not looking at that challenge and say, you know what, that's worthy of a second look? What is clear cut to the man in that booth going, there's never a penalty? I just don't understand how you can look at that and not feel that that is at least worth review.
I don't understand why he's not even gone into the ear of the referee and say, just go and have a look. Just have a look. But he's obviously deemed it, there's nothing there, so you don't even need to have a look. And the thing is, and I was discussing this earlier, if that had happened outside, say, the 18-yard area, if it happened in any other area of the pitch, what do you think is going to happen? It's a foul.
Well,
right?
Which then begs the question: is it just the case that the referee simply isn't strong enough to do what he should do? Is that become a common issue, which is they're scared of being persecuted or hounded, or they don't want the drama that inevitably follows? And I think it might have become a bit of a precedent that nobody wants to be the referee that gives that penalty at Ibrox.
Yeah, that's actually a very good point. Overall, I said at the top, I'm not going to grumble about the performance. Thought we played well. I think on another day, Duke takes those chances. We win the game comfortably. Obviously, it sets us up for a big game on Saturday. But overall, what did you think of the performance?
We are such a different animal than we were under either Stephen Glass. And I actually really liked Stephen Glass. I thought there was a lot of positivity at points in the way his team played. I mean, you look at the early part. The difference is, with Glass, there was all this attacking promise, and then, of course, it fell apart. And with Goodwin, the defence is easy to fix. Well, it wasn't that easy. The difference is, with Robson's side, there is a real heart, a real spine. There is a strength down the middle, and there is a calmness when you are not in possession. And I don't think, I was just thinking about this before I came on, I don't think that we have seen that kind of calmness without possession since the heyday of McInnes. And I'm talking about the time that we beat Groningen in it was the UEFA Cup. I think at that point, we were lethal on the counter. Our transition was incredibly fast. We had players, Johnny Hayes at his best, we had Niall McGinn at his best, and of course we had a hell of a striker up front as well. So I don't think we've seen that kind of strength down through the heart of the team since that period, and that's what it looks like. It looks like, you can have the ball, but you're not going to do anything with it. And honestly, Rangers in possession, I don't think at any point were they really a massive threat. I mean, there were a couple of moments, but you would expect that at Ibrox. They're going to press you, they're going to look to unlock you. But generally speaking, I thought we were comfortable. And our transition speed going the other way was really good. We caused them all kinds of problems. I would say, that I am still awaiting Duke's proposal to be my football husband, because he's just been the second coming, and I love him. I'm just not out right now. I love Duke. We all love Duke. Duke is life. But unfortunately, what he needs to do, I think, is in a game like this, he needs to be that Hans Hillhouse. He needs to be that, that player that in those big games, he's just too much of a handful. And I think actually, ironically, Majowski has popped up to be that player. He's making a habit of scoring against Rangers, and I actually had a funny feeling he was going to pop up and score yesterday. But I would like to see Duke become that player, because in these big games, I mean, he's gone one-on-one with the keeper there. He's gone clean through, and I'm sure every single Aberdeen fan was screaming at the television screen saying, why didn't you try and go around the keeper? Go around the keeper, because the keeper, an inexperienced keeper at that, if you force him into that decision, you could end up, not receiving another penalty. As the keeper takes you down, doesn't get sent off, and you don't get a penalty, which is obviously what would have happened. But point being, he's the sort of player that he's always going to go for the impossible. That's what we love about him. I mean, that's why he's exciting. So is it fair to say you shouldn't have done that? I don't know. It's what we love him for, but I still think he maybe needs in those moments to make choices that make decisions. Example being, when he's gone down from that challenge from Goldson,
go down.
If he stays down, the referee is forced into a decision. But because he got up, the referee managed to get the wee blue broom and just sweep it under the carpet. It was like nothing to see here. So you can't fault Duke for his enthusiasm, his heart, and the fact that he just wanted to get up and go score, or the fact that he wanted to chip the keeper instead of go around him. But in hindsight, maybe that's what he should have done.
Okay, so I've been sort of fighting my own head with this next question, and I really hope you understand where I'm coming from. So on Saturday, Hibs, and obviously we've got the Gothenburg celebrations in the lead up to that. I don't think for 1 minute that Barry Robson will be defocused. I'm just slightly worried that with these magnificent celebrations that we're all going to enjoy, that it might, and I mean might, take away some of the focus on how massive this game is on Saturday. And I really hope I'm wrong.
Yeah, we don't want to be patting ourselves in the back when we should be kicking them in the arse.
I'm wrong for thinking this.
No, I think we're all nervous. I think we're all, especially, I mean, yesterday, for example, if we'd got anything out of that game, if we had managed to conjure up a draw, things would look very different. But we didn't, so we're back to square one with only 4 games. We have to play Hearts at Tynecastle, which is obviously going to be pivotal one way or another. But if we have, I mean, this is absolutely the cornerstone, and I just can't overstate this enough. This next game could be the absolute cornerstone of every ounce of work that's gone into this season. Forget Darvel, forget the Goodwin walk of shame. You know, all the drama we've had this season, it's all really going to come down to this weekend, because if we beat Hibs and we put those 3 points up, Hearts only have 3 games left. We have to go to Tynecastle, and the 5-point gap still exists. It could even be more than 5 points. And if it's more than 5 points, then really we're going to have to start looking at the bunting. I also don't want us to be Dundee United, really celebrate being third. So we do have, there's going to have to be some focusing, some solidity. And if there's anyone that I think can probably do that, it's probably Barry Robson. He does appear to possess that ability to not get too excited, not get too low. And I hope that whatever he's doing with his players, that focus that he's engendering in his squad, I hope he can manage to keep them set.
Do apologise for that slight technical problem there. Right, so let's open it up to you and let's get all your thoughts in tonight. Wow, nearly 130 of you on tonight. A very good evening. Hope you're all well. Right, let's try and get through some of these before we start talking about Gothenburg. Scott W has said, so many fans up in arms regards the ref. It doesn't matter who officiates games, they're all as bad as each other. Simon Roy has said, Barry's interviews are superb. They really are, Simon. Kaiser has said, I said yesterday with the referee, it was virtually impossible for us to win that game. Crypto Kev has said, gutted after seeing the highlights. Once again, we get nothing from the ref. Scott W went on to say, a couple of shocking decisions made. The more I see the Duke Goldson incident, the more I'm absolutely amazed that nothing was given. Al Mitchell has wished everyone a good evening. We lost, but we played with loads of fight. Come on, you Reds. Gregor Stevens has said, a few of us on here subscribe to PLZ Soccer. This afternoon, the host Peter Martin admitted the officials are scared to give decisions against Sevco because of retribution. Just exactly what Terry said. It's a valid point. Grant Stewart has said, in terms of Barry's comment, far is the VAR. Spot on. Stand free, everybody. Graham Clark, never mind now, I guess. Chest out again on Saturday and huge 3 points incoming, hopefully. No worse off than we were before the game yesterday. 5 points clear with 4 instead of 5. Much better stats stand free. Yes, Graham, you're absolutely right. Let's just take the positives. We just have to be absolutely positive. Positive mindset. Bill W. I think we all knew the crest of the wave we've been riding would come to an end at their place, even more so with the officiating team. It is what it is. We move on to Hibs and back to winning. Gordon Keith Ritchie has said, we should have won, but the referee did his best for a home win. Definitely a penalty for Aberdeen. Come on, you Reds. Scott W has said, I think the booking was fair enough for Cantwell. Goldson, though, should have seen red. Actually, I got to admit, I thought it was more than a booking, because from what I understand, you can't raise your hands. And he raised his hands. Paul Donaldson, anyone knows which player was booked after Cantwell pushed over Liam's scales? It was Leighton Clarkson. I think, do you know the reason why I think he got booked? Was because he was the first on the scene to get everybody out of the way, and like Johnny, tried to play peacemaker, yet ends up getting booked. Go figure. Philip Pearson has said, why are officials with a conflict of interest allowed to ref in these games? This would not be allowed in any other professional situation. It is a question we continue to ask, and we're still waiting for answers. Suze has said, good to hear Barry's comments though. Not sure it will change anything, but he was honest and made his thoughts on VAR clear. Hayden Ritchie has said, the sad thing is, you come to expect this kind of performance from the officials. That is a very sad thing. Kaiser has said, hi Kaiser, Barry made, Barry made a fool of the officials yesterday. We need more of that. Erica Mitchell has said, good evening. Pity we didn't win yesterday. Don't understand why there wasn't a red card for Goldson's grapple on Duke. Yep, we continue to scratch our heads. Can't be bothered has said, Michael Stewart is right. It's unbelievable that there's been no penalties awarded against Sevco this season. The odds on that must be mind-boggling. Duncan Shand has said, Barry said it perfectly. Yeah, Sean Simpson has said, Ali, is there any point in playing Celtic and Rangers? You're not allowed to have a fair chance against them. Gordon Keith Ritchie, VAR is a joke. It's time the clubs got together and told the SFA that they're not paying for it until it's sorted. I have to be honest, I was advocating for it to come in because I desperately thought that our officials needed help. My God, how wrong could I be? They've made it 100 times worse. That's just my personal opinion. I just think they've made it worse. Jason Campbell has said, listen folks, this has been going on for decades and even our club is happy to be part of it. The league needs a stronger Rangers, he says in quotes. Remember, keep paying your money and just shut up as history has. Yeah. Bill W said, I think the VAR didn't want to overrule his... Okay, sorry, Bill, I can't continue with that comment because I'm not 100% sure about the whether it's true or not. So sorry, fella, but I totally take your point on it. John Grant has said, we missed 2 excellent chances and denied a stonewall penalty. VAR should have stepped in and pointed the error, but didn't, and Rangers never conceded a penalty all season, stayed intact. Yeah, you see, it's like what I said at the top of the show. You know, as much as the decision is mind-boggling, annoying, frustrating, you know, we shouldn't have to rely on getting a penalty. I thought we were good enough to win the game without having to rely on a penalty. You know, on another day, Duke scores those 2 goals, we win the game comfortably. Richard Wilkinson's on. Hi, Richard. How you doing, fella? It's certainly not a good look from the officials yesterday. The positives, we didn't get humped. A 1-goal loss, while still a loss, isn't awful. Scott W has said, for me, FIFA needs to create solid rules, regulations, etc. so we know a foul is a foul, offside is offside. Don't leave it open to interpretation. That's where the issue is. Yeah, there are so many of these rules at the moment, like the linesman putting the flag up when we all know the player's offside by a country mile, but yet waits until that player or whatever has touched the ball, then puts his flag up. That's become such an irritant in the game. It's like, guys, as soon as he's offside, just put your flag up, for God's sake. It's, why are we messing with our game? Yep. Yeah, you're quite right, Simon. Simon Roy said, Lewis Ferguson scored last penalty against Rangers, conceded against us in the 1-1 game. Richard Wilkinson went on to say, we had some decent chances which we didn't convert. We didn't concede a penalty, which, as we all know, wouldn't have surprised anyone. Paul Donaldson has said, the only debate is whether it was outside or inside the box. It was a clear foul. So, again, let's just clear everything up, okay? So the rules quite clearly state, if the foul is committed outside the box, but it continues into the box, it's a penalty. Those are the clear rules. Richard Wilkinson has said, it's just unacceptable how we have to accept this level of abject officiating. Graham Watson has said, club actually should not let this lie. Need to know why not even looked at. Scott W. has said, I felt we sat off them too much, particularly in the second half. We could have been closing them down more. Can't be bothered has said, all clubs should be asking questions about the standards of referees. Michael Stewart has tried to do this on numerous occasions on radio, but is often shouted down. Scott W. said, I do begin to wonder if I'd imagined the challenge, and in reality it was a good, clean tackle. The linesman had a clear view of it, no more than 10 yards away. It's absolutely crazy. Graham Watson, you make a very good point. Anthony Stewart was sent off for exactly the same challenge against St Mirren in Paisley. He absolutely was, Graham. Excellent point. Can't be bothered has said that he read an article saying VAR couldn't intervene as ref hadn't given free kick or penalty, therefore ref hadn't made an obvious mistake. It's utter madness. But you see, again, this is where it's also confusing, because aren't they there to clear up a mistake? If it's a clear and obvious error, is that not what they're checking? So he's not given the penalty, so have a look at it to see if he has made a clear and obvious error. If he has, tell him, then he can go and look at the monitor. Because I'm telling you, if he had a look at the monitor, he's giving a penalty kick. Maybe. Okay, so keep your comments coming in. It's great to see so many of you on tonight. So as we know, this week sees the 40th anniversary of Gothenburg. So much is happening at the football club and in the city this week, and it's just going to be the most wonderful of occasions. Can't wait. And I know that particularly the local press are working extremely hard. The Aberdeen journals have put together already some absolutely fantastic stuff. There's some brilliant interviews. Sean Wallace, Neil Drysdale, Ryan Cryle, all these guys who all work for the journals have done an absolutely phenomenal job. So I just thought I'd get you in the mood, and I'm delighted that the Evening Express very kindly gave me permission to show you this.
Supporting a football club is a search for the extraordinary among the mundane. Each of the game's millions of fans sing their team is by far the best the world has ever seen, and only a handful suspect there could ever be a grain of truth to it. But Aberdeen supporters are unbelievably lucky, as there was once a time in 1983 when their team could lay claim to being the best there was. Those who lived through it and the generations which have followed are imbued with the spirit of Gothenburg. It is impossible to envelop yourself in colours carried in unimaginable triumph without them bleeding through into your very soul. But don't confuse it for an inability to accept that it is a time now past. It is merely a rallying call that an entity which has achieved such magical things is forever worth fighting for. It is our North Star, and the level of reverence in which the Aberdeen support holds the events surrounding Gothenburg and those who created them is recognition of their exceptional magnitude.
And the goal is there!
Aberdeen's presence on UEFA's Rolls of Honour, having bested two of the world's elite clubs to do it, is a monstrous outlier. It could never happen now, but it ought not to have happened then. It only did so because of the unfailing efforts of a phenomenally talented group of people who did more for our club and city than any other in history. A team of terrifically gifted young footballers who were led by the greatest manager who ever lived. Human fragility may give us few further opportunities to venerate them, so let us waste no chances to say thank you to all those who helped to push Aberdeen's bandwagon on its journey to Cup Winners' Cup glory, although it barely scratches the surface. For how can one adequately acknowledge the deeds of superheroes? We only hope that they know what they meant and still mean to supporters who touch the sky upon their shoulders.
So as I said, there's some absolutely fantastic articles at both the Press and Journal and the Evening Express. Get yourselves all over it. So on Thursday night, this is the plan. I'm going to come on air at 7 o'clock UK time, and my aim is to do a 2-hour special. Got some fantastic interviews lined up with ex-Aberdeen players and a Real Madrid player as well, to get it from their perspective inside the Real Madrid dressing room. And the idea is to obviously do bits and pieces around the game, relive the memories, and to get you on as well, so that you can come on the channel, leave your comments as always, and just give us your own memories on what was an absolutely unforgettable evening in the Ullevi Stadium in Sweden. So that's coming up on Thursday night. So just a gentle reminder, if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, I'd be absolutely delighted if you please would. It doesn't cost you anything. All it does is just help us build the subscription level, and as we continue to build the channel, getting deeper into 2023. Got so many big plans, particularly for the new season, watch along shows, all that sort of stuff. Looking to get a plasma screen in here, do sort of football analysis, all that sort of stuff. So yeah, get yourself involved in that. Right, let's get back to your comments. Richard Wilkinson's back in saying, I don't think we've got anything to worry about. I've no doubt that we've got what it takes to beat St Mirren and Hibs at home, and Hearts have to bring it to us next week. Suze has said, we need clarity on the whole VAR situation. We are not the only club in this position, yet it seems questions cannot be asked. It's like they're untouchable. Richard Wilkinson went on to say, we've got the defence sorted now. It's all good. Michael Robertson is on. Hi, Michael. If you want more proof that there is a West Coast bias, just watch David Robertson's interview on Open Goal. He's played for both Aberdeen and Rangers, and on this interview, he publicly admits playing for Aberdeen against Celtic or Rangers, it had to be a stone waller to be awarded a penalty. But when he played for Rangers, he said they quite often got penalties for nothing. Martin Smith has said, our transition play is second to none. Duke will learn to make better choices as Barry will coach that in him. Excellent point. Duncan Forbes has said, yesterday was about assessing how far we have come under Barry. I agree. I think the improvement continues. Ewan Grant is on. Hi, Ewan. I always try and play devil's advocate for the refs, but I'm sorry, there's something not right. The math geek in me wants to start a firm but fair analysis of our officials. Do it, Ewan, do it. Graham Clark has said, I'm actually at the point where I just don't trust any ref to ref any games in Scotland. They're just as bad, if not worse, than the panel that checks over the appeals or red cards. Duncan Forbes is suggesting get VAR on the big screen along with the TV coverage, and the malpractice would have to end due to humiliation of blatant wrong decisions. George Findlay said, hope Barry can change the players' mindset. We should be in the ref's face after incidents like yesterday. You see Fernandez of Man U moaning every 5 minutes. I'll tell you exactly who would have been in the face of the officials given half a chance. Graham Shinney. Sorry guys, just reading your comments here. Just have to check it all through. Kaiser's talking about the Cup Winners' Cup, we sometimes forget that we got to the semi-final of the Cup Winners' Cup the following season, 84. Porto put us out. They did. I remember the game, the two games quite clearly. It was always going to be very difficult over in Porto, and they fully deserved their 1-0 lead. Pataudry, so many memories from that. The Ha that came in over the sea, so we couldn't see the far end. We were sat in the south stand that night, quite close down to the front, and it's the only time I've ever caught the ball at a game. Threw it back to Stuart McKimmie. That was a real highlight. But just the absolute devastation of losing that game. And another story that sticks in my mind from that game, so just slightly indulge me. I remember my dad was eerily quiet in the car going home, and that was really unlike him. And then we got home, and we walked in the door, and my mum, my late mother, she burst into tears, and she grabbed my dad and bear hugged him. And it baffled me. I was 12 years old at the time, and I couldn't understand what was going on. And it was only years later that my dad told me that he had actually organised a train, because the final was played in Basel in Switzerland. And he had, after the first leg, he was so confident that Aberdeen would get through, he organised a train to take the fans from Aberdeen to Felixstowe, from Felixstowe to Calais, and then another train from Calais all the way up to Basel in Switzerland. He sold the train out in a matter of hours, and the profit that he would have made through the bookings was a sum that would have helped pay off Dad's mortgage at the time. That's what I remember. I'm not going to tell you how much it was. I'll keep that private. But it was a hefty sum. And he told me that years and years later, and I had absolutely no idea. Absolutely mad. Absolutely gutted about that night. Scott W says, Gothenburg. I still get that lump in the throat and a wee tear in the eye whenever I see that cross from McGee and Hewitt waiting in the middle. Glorious. David Gold has said, huge game on Saturday. We have to win to keep our grip on third place. Yeah, I really hope you understood what I was talking about with Terry, that I just, they won't, the players won't, and the manager won't. I'm just, it's just that little niggle. I've just got that wee niggle. I just don't want to lose focus on how huge the game is for the boys on Saturday. As much as I'm loving the Gothenburg celebrations and that the boys are all going to be there and it's all about them, we do have a football match to play as well. Crypto Kev has said, we'll be there on Saturday. Will be a tough game, but let's get behind Barry and the lads like we have done recently. From what I understand, there's only a handful of tickets left for that game, so it looks like it's going to be a sellout, which is absolutely mad. Malcolm Youngson has said, the year after, was it not Gothenburg that put the Dons out? So that was 1985. Gothenburg put us out of what was the old European Cup at the quarter-final stage on away goals. Because we drew the first leg at Pataudry 2-2. Over there it was 0-0. Billy Stark missed a great chance with about 5 minutes to go over in the Ullevi Stadium, ironically. And something that only grasped me a couple of years ago, we went out of the European Cup at the quarter-final stage on the away goals rule. Mad, eh? Jeez, oh. Jack Christie is asking, is there going to be a halftime walk around with Sir Alex and co? Honestly, Jack, I've got absolutely no idea. Don't know. Yeah, Malcolm Youngson has said in regards to Sunday's game, had Duke put his chances away in the first half, could have been a very different match. Yeah, I agree. Jim Balfour said the following year, Wrexham knocked Porto out on away goals in the first round. Did they? Did they really? Oh, I don't remember that. That's mental. Jason Campbell, I totally get your point. About censorship and all that sort of stuff. Mate, I'm totally with you. All I'm doing, it's just purely an act of protection. That's all it is. It's a duty of care. That's all I'm doing to protect you and to protect me. That's all it is, mate. Yeah. But I get your point. I understand what you're saying. Kaiser said Fergie was desperate to win the European Cup in 85. What a chance we had. Gothenburg put us out in the quarterfinals. John Grant is on. Hi, John. I assume Barry Robson will get an answer from someone why no VAR was used. I really think we need refs with no association with Rangers or Celtic, therefore English or European. I completely agree. Gordon Keith Ritchie has said, Gothenburg, best day of my life. Yeah, Scott W., the 85 European Cup, we went out unbeaten, the only team to have done so. Yeah. Right, guys, we have done just over 40 minutes. So thank you so much for coming on. It's been absolutely brilliant having so many of you on, as always, on the channel tonight. I really hope you enjoyed the show. So don't forget, we'll be back on Thursday, 7 o'clock, to enjoy all things Gothenburg. I really hope you can enjoy me. Take care. See you soon. Stand free.